I was 40 years old when I walked away from my family. Not because I hated them, but because staying connected to them was killing me. And here's the part that very few people ever say out loud. It was the best decision I ever made. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Matthew, former military medic, paramedic turned author, podcaster. And here I talk about all things life, chaos, crisis, reaction, whatever strikes my fancy. And today I want to talk to you about what it's like to walk away from your blood family. I was 40 years old. I'm now 43. It wasn't an easy process. It was a long, drawn out process that took many, many hours of therapy and a lot of introspection and a lot of quiet time too. The reason I bring this up is because a friend of mine recently has gone through something of the same ilk. He recently lost his father, and now the strained internal family dynamics are starting to rear their ugly head in light of that, causing a lot of stress, a lot of angst, a lot of unknowns. And it really mirrored a lot of what I went through in my family. So to give you a brief overview of where I come from, my family is structured as such. My siblings, my biological siblings, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, they all had the same father. I was the only one with a different father. My eldest sibling, she would always mention this to people, especially when introducing me. This is my half brother, but we treat him like a full brother. This is my little brother, Matthew. He's our half brother, but we treat him like a full brother. These statements were ubiquitous throughout my upbringing. And I was constantly reminded of this fact. And then when things came to light with my father was not a good man. He was arrested under charges and conviction of child molestation. And that's about as far as I'll go into on this video. My mother had a strained relationship with the older siblings. At different times throughout my upbringing, they were kicked out of the house. And I mean, like, dramatically so, like things thrown out on the lawn, just chaos, kind of the stuff you'd see in movies. And the one closest to me in age, her name was Lisa. And I say was because she passed away in 2020. And the profound and somber, ironic nature of that is that we didn't have the closest relationship. We weren't strained. We didn't argue. We just weren't close. She had her own life. I had my own life. We would talk every now and then. But she never once called me her half brother. She never once made a designation between me and her. She never insulted me or my career, which my other siblings did, and I'll get to that. She is the one that I probably could have been the closest with if she was healthier in life. She went through a lot, endured a lot. And unfortunately, in 2020, her battle with mental health and addiction and many other things led to her death by suicide. My brothers, my biological brothers, I used to tell people I was very close with my one brother. My other brother, never close with. He was, constantly kind of the black sheep and it's ironic I use that term, but I'm actually the black sheep in the family. And there is something to be said for that. Typically speaking, when an individual decides to get healthy from dysfunction and they start to take better care of themselves and they start to make better decisions, healthier decisions, et cetera, they generally become ostracized from the dysfunction. And the people within the dysfunction tend to target them, make them feel as though they're doing something wrong because they're bettering themselves and they're moving on, they're doing things. This was part of what I was starting to face. Always talked down to, invalidated. It was funny during COVID times, my one brother who watches a lot of YouTube, and then when he thought YouTube was a conspiracy, he went to Rumble because that's better. And that's where he got his source of information for the vaccine and his hesitancy for the vaccine. And I'm not here to say you should or shouldn't be hesitant of the vaccine, but when I decided to get the vaccine, it was after long conversations with my physician and reading some of the studies that had come out that indicate that getting the vaccine at least lowers the severity of symptoms. Sounds good to me. I don't like symptoms, so I'll do that. And that was the reason behind my getting the vaccine. And he tried to lecture me one day, calling me hysterical for going to get the vaccine. And this is after a long history of constant belittling and everything. And so I called him out on it. And I said, hey, man, if you want to talk to me, you're going to do so with respect. And then he lost it. And he's like, I'm allowed my opinion. I'm allowed my opinion. I was like, you're allowed your opinion. You're not allowed your judgments. You do not get to put your judgments on me under the veil of an opinion and make me wear it. Between the two of us, I'm the only medical professional here. He's a cook. And there's nothing wrong with being a cook. That's his lane. If I tried to lecture him about how to properly make a steak, he could probably laugh me out of the building. But that's not what we were talking about. And this blew up into a big escalation. And I, if I had a do-over in life, I wish that was a do-over where I could have maintained my calm and composure. But obviously when you're with heated rivalries and heated dynamics and abuse and psychological abuse and strained relationships, you're not always going to be at your best. And that's one thing I think is important to remember. And I've tried to remind myself that too. I'm not always going to make it the best version of myself. I'm not always going to be right. I'm not always going to get it right. Which is why I battled so hard with the notion of truly walking away. So with respect to him personally, I walked away because in anger, right? Because we had a huge fight. But then I really started thinking about our relationship, and then something else really hit me. I didn't miss him. I didn't feel like I was lacking something in my life. And when I started to think back of when I was younger, and I started to think back of what I felt family meant, my version of family, what I thought family, the term family meant, neither him nor my other biological brother or my other biological sister fit the mold of that. And they never made me feel like I was part of a family. And so I started thinking to myself, why am I staying? Why is this concatenation there? Why am I keeping this linkage? Why am I keeping this fractured, rusted chain link? Well, the answer is because society tells me I should. Society tells me that blood is thicker than water. Society tells me that he's your brother. You got to help him. It's your sister. You have to. My father was a child molester. Should I maintain a relationship with him? I think not. And so why then, if my biological siblings choose to be toxic and choose to be abusive and choose to be dismissive and insulting to me, judging of me, why then should I stay connected to them? And the answer is you don't have to. I didn't have to. I don't have to. Now, when I walked away, I didn't slam the door. My phone is still open. Social media is still around. I've blocked them on social media because I just don't think they need to have access to my daily life so they can make judgments or whatever. If something truly rose where they really wanted to get a hold of me and really wanted to converse, they can do that. The ability to do so is there. And in fact, last year, I think it was last year, I got a message. I got a message in my inbox. And it came up, and it was from my niece. So my oldest sister, biological sister, her daughter. And prior to this message, the last time we spoke was 2013. And this message hit me in 2025. So gives you an indication of how often we spoke. Anyway, she's a grown woman now. She's an adult when she sends this. And she says, "Hey, Uncle Matthew, why'd you block Mom on Facebook? She's having surgery soon, and I tried to tell you about it, but you blocked her. She's really upset about that. Why aren't you answering me? This app shows that you're active. Why did you log out just a minute after I asked you? Yeah, it's 6:12 when I sent the message. Your account has been active for 4 minutes. Why aren't you answering me? And now I can't see that much. Did you just hide your activity status? Why can't you give me an answer?" So apart from the fact that sounds like stage 5 clinger material, right? If that was any other individual, if that was like a girl off Tinder or, a girl I was dating, like I did date a girl that would send me those kind of messages, actually. This would be really abusive behavior, because it is abusive behavior. And what it signaled to me was that the script for how to treat Matthew within the dynamic of my biological family had been handed down to the new generation. But I don't have to be a part of that script. I don't have to play that character. I don't have to play that role. And neither do you. So I sat with her for a bit, and I sent her a message. I said, "Hello," and I said her name. "I appreciate you reaching out. I understand you're trying to support your mom, and I know this message likely comes from a place of care. That said, the decision to block someone, especially a family member, is never made lightly. It comes after years of complex experiences, pain, and difficult personal growth. There are things between your mom and I that go far beyond what you may know or see. This isn't about a single message or a surgery. It's about long-standing patterns that have made communication deeply hurtful and unsafe for me. While I wish her well with her health and I hope for a smooth recovery, I need to prioritize my peace, my healing. I truly don't expect you to fully understand my stance, and I won't go into details, but I hope you can respect that this boundary is in place for a reason. I value you, name. I just ask that you trust there's more to this than a blocked account. Thanks for your understanding." And I felt really good about sending that, because it wasn't sent in malice. It wasn't sent in anger. It wasn't an angry, quick whip response. I sat with it for a few days before sending a message, and that was the message I sent, and I stand by it, and I feel good about it. And the more time that passed after truly separating myself from my blood siblings, from my biological siblings, the more I truly started to feel like myself. Because the people in my life, my wife and her kids, and my best friend Drew, and my best friend Steven, and my best friend Cozy, they're not just best friends. They're my brothers. They are my brothers. They are my family. They are the people that value me, care for me, celebrate my victories, help me in my downturns, and I in turn do the same for them. We prop each other up. We support each other. We don't judge each other. We don't condemn each other. We don't do backhanded compliments to one another. We're not passive aggressive to one another. We are real and respect each other as individuals and as people. And that, at the end of the day, is the definition of family. It doesn't have to be by way of blood. Society tells us blood is thicker than water. Okay, what if that blood is toxic? Do I still need to keep it? Do I still need to keep that toxin in my blood if it's killing me? Under any other circumstance, we would say that's crazy, don't do that. But for some reason, when it comes to family, well, now you have to. Now, look, I'm not telling you just to walk away blindly from family at all costs and that blood isn't truly thicker than water. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about my very specific circumstance. Because sometimes family isn't the be-all and end-all. Family is what you make of it. Family is who you find. Family is who values you. Family is what becomes, not what's born. I forged a new family. I forged a new life through hard work, through tears, through blood, through sweat, through death. I said at the beginning that I worked as a paramedic. I tallied up one time with the assistance of AI, taking my work history into account, the number of hours I worked, including the number of dead bodies I would see per month. And at the end of everything, the tally was 1,000. I have seen approximately 1,000 dead bodies. That stays with you. Even the ones that I can't remember by willful recog. Stays with you. Shapes you, molds you. Weighs you. And so my transformation truly did come from life and death. And at the end of it, when I stopped drinking, when I put down the bottle, when I threw myself into therapy and I truly accepted the help that was being offered to me, and I went with it and I dedicated myself to it, I was a different person. I had grown beyond the barriers of my biological family. I was no longer manacled to their dysfunction. By dysfunction, you want to, here's a level of dysfunction that still exists, not just in past, but my mother, she died by suicide in 2017. We have not had a funeral service for her because none of the kids could get on the same page as to when, as to what, as to who's talking to who, who's not talking to who. My one brother, days after my mother had died, was selling all of her belongings on Facebook Marketplace. Taking all the possessions out of her house, selling them for money. Likely so he could continue drinking. Or give it to his wife. Whatever their reasons were, they did it. And I have no respect for it. Don't need to be around somebody like that. Don't need somebody like that in my life. Like that person adds no value to my life. And just because they have a same last name as I do, doesn't mean that I am connected to them in any other way. And it dawned on me too, there's another irony in all of this. Growing up, I told you that my one sister used to introduce me as their half-brother, always making that distinction that I'm not fully them, I'm not fully blood. Thank God. Thank God. That separation really helped. The fact that I was like, yeah, you know what? That's why I'm not like you. That's why I'm not like you. And that weight lifted. And man, did it ever feel good. Conflict doesn't feel good. Dysfunction, it doesn't feel good. What led to walking away didn't feel good. But walking away into being who I can truly be and be around love, authentic love, well, that feels pretty goddamn good. So it's okay to walk away when you need to. You're not beholden just because of a last name or because of biology. And if they try to hold you to it, if they try and other audiences try to say, oh, well, that's, you really should. Why don't you go tell them? Why don't you turn this conversation around onto them? Why is it on me? Because I'm the one who made a decision to walk away. I'm the one who made a decision to do something that is against the norm. And now you're trying to hold me to account for a societal implementation, a societal expectation. Instead of looking at them and saying, well, what did you do to have this fall into place? Or what aren't you doing to prevent this? Or even better, what are you doing to correct this? What are you doing to be a part of his life? What are you doing to be a part of Matthew's life? Why are those questions less valid, less potent, less used than the, oh, you really shouldn't walk away. Oh, you shouldn't walk away. You shouldn't do that. Yeah, no, you have to talk to them. They're family. Why is it only one of those is used with tremendous staccato within our society? I'm genuinely curious. I don't have the answer. I wish I did. I don't know if it's because of media, because we see it in movies and television, and we see these great ideas of thick Irish families, and they just stay with each other no matter what. It's cool in idea, and it's cool in a story, but real life is messier than that. Far more complicated than that. People are far more complicated than that. But you know what? You can find people that will do that. I could phone Steven at 3 a.m. and he would come down to my house. I could phone Cozy. I could phone Drew. Drew lives a good 45 minutes to an hour away, depending on traffic. He would be, if I phoned him and said, I need you, he would be here. He'd be here. I know that because when my mom died, he stayed on the phone with me for hours, even though he had to get up in the morning and go to work. Hours. He just stayed on the phone with me. Even if I wasn't saying anything, he just stayed on the phone with me. He had nowhere else to be. He had made me that sole focus in that moment. And he had nowhere else that he was going to go. It doesn't get much more family than that. I have familial bonds. And, I battled with some guilt because I woke up and I was like thinking about things. And then every now and then I'm like, I don't miss them. Like, am I horrible? Does that make me bad? Oh man, but why would you miss that? If you're going to give me a hall pass to not miss my father, which I absolutely do not, why does that hall pass not extend to other levels of dysfunction? Why doesn't it extend to you? Why do people try to make you accountable for taking your space, reclaiming your space? It's because they're not living in your shoes. They're not living in your shoes. You don't owe anybody anything. The only person at the end of the day that you truly owe something to is yourself. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't contribute to other people's lives. Absolutely you should. That's how the circle of connection is made. Never just be a taker. Always be a giver. Always be a giver first. Giver first. Giver first. It's okay to walk away. It is absolutely okay to walk away. And take it from me, man. Take it from a generic white guy over the internet. Life, this one right here, it can be pretty goddamn glorious when you do. I have never been this content and this happy in my entire existence as I am right now. And that exists for you as well. I promise. Okay. Take care. Be well. Be safe. I'll talk to you guys in the next Matthew Heneghan Unfiltered. Who knows what's going to fly out of my mouth? I don't know. Could be anything. Who knows? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to say half the time anyway. I don't know.